This is Accrington Stanley. At the beginning of FM26, they're the team that's predicted to finish bottom of League 2, making them, statistically, at least according to FM, the worst team in the English Football League. Naturally, this makes them the perfect place for me to start an adventure as a football manager. In today's video, the challenge is simple. I must take Accrington Stanley from League 2 up through League 1, up through the Championship to the Holy Grail that is the Premier League. And then I've got to try and win it. I'm giving myself a 10-season limit, and if I fail, I'll give away a copy of FM26 to one of you guys that subscribed. And so, it begins. After settling into my new surroundings, I decided the best way to start was to set us up in a Route 1 4-4-2 system, obviously, right? And then I once again confirmed that, yep, we were predicted to finish rock bottom of League 2. And that made it time to start our adventure. Now, eventually, the main aim would, of course, be to win the Premier League. But along the way, I wanted to set myself some side quests. The first side quest was that I must also develop a new gen, with the aim being to take a youth intake player and turn them into an international before the end of the save. I must also try and overtake our local rivals. Accrington Stanley are within 20 miles of Blackburn Rovers, Burnley and Bolton Wanderers, all of whom had been much more successful in recent history. And finally, along the way, it'd be nice to try and win a cup. Silverware is just... it's an obvious one, but it'd be nice to win the League Cup or the FA Cup, right? My initial instinct at the start of every save is, who can I buy? But, well, the recruitment budgets at Accrington Stanley were pretty small. There was £162 left in the wage budget and, well, £0 to buy players. So I decided to familiarise myself with the squad. When picking the best 11, I could recognise a few players. Donald Love, I remember playing Premier League football for Sunderland in the Premier League years back. I'd had Logan Pye in plenty of Football Manager lower league saves in the past, and in midfield I recognised Liam Coyle from his time at Liverpool. Our striker on loan, Paddy Madden, is a bit of a lower league legend in FM, so I'd definitely be trying to utilise his skills up front. I quickly checked in with the coaching staff that I'd have working with me and found that, well, there wasn't many, really. There were just 3 coaches working with me, an assistant manager, a head of sports science, and a goalkeeping coach. And so it's pretty clear what I needed to do to begin. In terms of the squad, I needed to shift some players to free up some wage budget, so I listed a few of the players that I just didn't think were going to make it into the squad, and I needed to bring in some staff that could help me along the journey. And so at the beginning, that's what I went and did. It took me the best part of a month, but by the time that August came rolling around, I felt like I had a grip on this squad. It felt like my own. We started our first season here in League 2 with a draw and a win, which is a nice, solid start. And this solid start had come through lots of changes, both on the pitch and off the pitch. Off the pitch, I'd completely revolutionised our staff. The coaching team now consisted of 11 members of staff as well as myself, which would allow us for much more specialisation on the training pitch. And we'd bolstered our recruitment team too, with James Beattie coming in as a director of football and a former FM wonder kid, Emil Mapenza, coming in as our chief scout. His brilliant worldly knowledge would definitely come in useful for scouting as this adventure would develop. It had been a bit of a slog to move players out, but we had managed to shift on a few players, which had freed up some wage budget and allowed me to bring in some players that I could call my own. We'd made £16,000 profit selling Donald Love to Inverness, and Ben Ward had moved to Shrewsbury again for 16k. And I was very happy with the players we'd brought in too. Tyrese John Jules would lead our line, a striker that had been released by Arsenal, and Keziah Sterling's a lower league FM favourite. There's a real plan about the other players we'd brought in too, with Tom Carroll to play in our midfield and become our set-piece specialist. Yes, I plan to rely on those a fair bit. And George Williams, well, he could take a pretty good long throw, and with that being pretty in vogue at the moment, I was going to try and make the most of that as well. With all of this change, things had started well. As I showed you before, we were unbeaten in our first 2 games in the league, a draw away at Gillingham, and then a 2-1 win away at Crewe in our most recent game. We had been knocked out of the EFL Cup on penalties by Oldham, so that was disappointing, and it meant we wouldn't be winning a cup in our first season. But let's be honest, I didn't think that was too possible in the first season anyway. Our next game was away at Salford City, and the lineup looked like this. It included most of our new signings. John Jules led the line, Tom Carroll in the midfield, and although I was still on the hunt for a new centre-back, as the teams emerged from the tunnel, it felt like our journey was now able to properly begin. And that game, well, it couldn't have gone much better. Despite us conceding early in the 5th minute to Salford, we bounced back by turning it around and taking the lead ourselves. First with a goal from Alex Henderson, and then just after half-time, Tyrese John Jules made the scores 2-1. Salford equalised again in the 53rd minute, but then started a rout from us. Paddy Madden a minute later put us back in the lead, and then a substitute Isaac Heath scored twice, making the scores 5-2, before Alex Henderson scored his second to seal a 6-2 away win against Salford Salford. This result put us top after 3 games, and it had me believing that maybe this squad of players could get promoted. The media and the bookmakers had other ideas, but we weren't actually favourites to finish bottom anymore, as we'd moved ahead of Harrogate to be predicted to finish 23rd. I never really pay much attention to these media predictions though, because I'd seen enough. I think this team's good enough to get promoted. We just had to put that into practice. And so I'll be back in January where we'll find out if I'm able to do that. And so over the course of the first half of the season, and as we headed into the new year, our results in August, September, October, November, and December, well, they'd been patchy. But the most recent month, December, had brought about our best form of the season so far. And after 23 games, the halfway point of our season, well, we sat 5th in the league. 40 points and just a point away from the automatic promotion spot of 3rd. 23 games, 12 wins, 4 draws, and 7 losses. Lofty dreams of winning the league had probably gone by this point, with Colchester looking pretty supreme in 1st. But that 3rd place spot, that automatic promotion spot, was within touching distance. And the team in 2nd was Salford, who we'd already proven we could completely demolish. It felt like a little sprinkling of stardust on this squad could actually deliver us promotion in this first season. The only issue is that we hadn't got any money to spend to bring in that stardust. January though did bring some opportunity to bring some money in through sales, and so I'm constantly reviewing the squad, which players could maybe be sold and which players had taken their opportunity in the team. One of the players that had taken their chance was Charlie Catton. He'd been at the club since the beginning, but I certainly hadn't considered him a starter. But at the halfway point, he'd forced himself into the team by scoring 11 goals in 23 games. All in all, it felt like a season that could be glorious if we could make the most of the transfer window in January and make some money moves maybe. And so with that transfer window looming, that's what I'm going to go and try and do now. Okay, and that's the end of January. We're now into Feb, and I think I have made some money moves, as I called it. The first of which is I've decided to allow Paddy Madden to leave the club. We had him on loan, of course, and I expected him to be an important part of our team, but to be honest, he wasn't great. And with 2 goals and 6 appearances, the 3k a week that we were paying him to be here, I just couldn't justify it. And so I've used that money, along with some money coming in for Connor O'Brien and Dan Martin leaving the club, to bring in the following players. Jamal Blackman, the former Chelsea goalkeeper, has come in to be our new number 1. Max Waltman, another former Liverpool youngster, comes in to play up front for us, add a bit of energy in the attacking areas. And I did finally bring in a big centre-back by the name of Owen O'Connell. He's played for Celtic, so he comes into our defence to bring experience and hopefully a bit of leadership as well. Overall, I don't think this is outrageous business, but I do think it strengthens us. And I'm just hoping it's that extra bit of stardust, as I called it, that can take us to promotion. It'd be a lovely, lovely start if we can get promoted in season 1. I should mention at this stage too that as well as going out of the EFL Cup to Oldham on pens, which is obviously a poor result against the team in the league below, and it means we're not going to tick off the objective to win a cup in season 1. Again, I probably wasn't expecting to anyway. Now though, the next stop for us is to go and find out if we can push ourselves into those automatic spots, or will next year be another season here in League 2. And as we progress to the end of the season with dreams of automatic promotions in our hearts, well, our end of season form put paid to that idea. After being really solid for most of the season, we drew to Crewe, lost to Gillingham, and drew to Fleetwood, or losing to Crawley in April, meaning at the end of the league season, we finished 4th and just 1 place below those automatic promotion spots. It did though mean the playoffs for us, and there was a story brewing. Let me take you back to the end of March, where we received our first youth intake of the Save. And here, in what is an outrageously good youth intake, there was one young man that caught my eye the most. Kyrie Roddy looked like a superb prospect, and perhaps the player that we could nurture into a future international to tick off one of our challenges. But when a player like this comes through your youth intake, you think that they're going to have an impact maybe years down the line when they've developed a bit. But after losing the first leg of the semi-finals of the playoffs to MK Dons 2-1, the 16-year-old Kyrie Roddy would step up to score against MK Dons, and it would prove to be the winning goal that would take us to Wembley for the playoff final. After losing the first leg 2-1, we'd win the second leg 4-2, and we'd play Fleetwood in the final at Wembley. A 16-year-old had taken us to the playoff final, where a 38-year-old would win it for us. Sean Wally, who had simply refused to leave every time I tried to sell him, popped up in the 103rd minute in extra time to win the game for us 5-4 against Fleetwood at Wembley. An unbelievable League Two playoff final after Keziah Sterling and Max Waltman had scored twice each for us. The Football Manager storyline gods were delivering, and Accrington Stanley, the worst team in the English Football League, well, we were getting ourselves promoted to League One. And that meant that there was a lot to do to get ourselves ready, because we'd obviously be favourites to go straight back down. Right, so this window, we kind of just had to do what we could do to try and become FFP compliant, and I feel like I've just about managed to do so. It's been a bit of a mad rush. It's been a really weird transfer window, actually. During it, let's look at the outgoings first of all. I released Charlie Catton, who had been really good for us, but wasn't playing all that much this season. So we freed up his wages. We also loaned out Max Waltman, who had, again, been really important for us, but this season had only played 4 games. And also Alex Henderson, both of those then saving us a little bit in wages. But the big movement was the sale of Noel Atom. He's the Cameroon defender that would have been brilliant for us, but didn't have a work permit. I also wasn't able to use an ESC place, which I'm sure you were wondering about, but being able to sell him and getting 350k in profit allows us to free ourselves from any FFP worry. It also allowed us to bring in a couple of players as well. Tyreek Wilson came in on a free transfer. He's a very decent left back, and Jack Baird came in from St Johnstone. He's a centre back. Now, after this, you will notice that there are 5 players that came in on loan. And this wasn't just because I went crazy trying to bring players in. This was after Man City cancelled all 4 of the loan players that we had in on loan from them and recalled them back to Man City. Henderson Hall went back, Midwood went back, Braithwaite went back, and finally so did Alex Alcala. And this prompted a mad dash on deadline day, the 2nd of February, look, where I had to go and try and find in players to replace them in the squad. We brought in Mackenzie Kirk from Portsmouth, Amar Sangraika from Watford, Cathal McCarthy from Hull, Bradley De Jesus from Fulham, and finally Michael Parker from West Brom. And even though it's been a massive turnover of players, I think it does put us in a decent position for the rest of the season. It gives us, for the first time in the save, I'm hoping, a little bit of tactical flexibility. We've got backups in every position and a bit of flexibility with players being able to play in multiple positions. Obviously, there is still absolutely loads to do for the rest of this season with, after 33 games, we're still sat in 22nd position in the league and we're still 6 points away from safety. Listen, the likelihood is that we still go down, but I'm hoping and praying that we've given ourselves a chance. So I'm going to go and play the rest of this season now, and I'll be back hopefully to tell us that we've achieved the Great Escape, or we might be relegated. Either way, I'll see you in May. Well, we survived. Just. In fact, we have survived in League One by just 1 point. We finish our season, our second season at the club, on 51 points from our 46 games, whereas Colchester, Exeter, Doncaster, Mansfield go down. Colchester go down on 50 points. We are just 1 point clear of that relegation zone, and that is in spite of losing our final game of the season. We lost to Lincoln City 2-0, but before that, we'd gone on a decent run of form that means that we survived the second season. It's a massive boost for our chances of completing this challenge in the 10 seasons, because it means that we can build from here, and hopefully we've put in place the things that can save the save from this point here. A 4-2 win against Reading, look, the game before, a 4-0 win against Exeter. That put us in the place where, even though we lost the last game, we were still safe and going to be in this league for next year. Look, you can see that we've still got issues there. We lost 6-1 to Plymouth a few games before that in April. I'd be lying if I said it's been pretty. At stages, we've been playing like a 5-4-1. It's been football terrorism from us a lot of the time in the second half of this season. And it's been because we've had to, basically. Look at the system we used in the most recent games. It's not even like a 5 at the back. You could potentially call it a 7 at the back system, because these two midfielders were very much helping out the defenders, especially out of possession, look, with their DM roles. When we've not had the ball, we have been playing a flat back 5. And that's obviously not going to be sustainable as we head into our second season in the league. So this summer transfer window, it's going to be really important. We've just been given those budgets for next year, and very nicely indeed, the wage budget is now up to £52,000 per week. If you remember, when we first came up, we could only spend 33k per week, and it just wasn't enough. If I show you the salaries of the other clubs in League One, we are very much 24th out of 24. And it really does sum it up when you compare us to the team that are the 23rd highest salary per annum. Doncaster, they spent over double the amount of money per year on wages, and they ended up finishing 23rd. Like, you see the teams around us, look, we've massively overachieved here because we finished 17th, whereas the teams that hadn't have much money to spend were finishing in 21st, 20th, 24th, 22nd, 23rd. Squad-wise, our big performer really was Max Waters up front, who finished the season on 21 goals despite the defensive system that we had to employ. But it really can't be overstated right now. We're going to be able to basically double the amount of wages that we can pay, which I'm really hoping with a good bit of business can help us shoot up the league here. And maybe I've regained a little bit of optimism because I think with the right business, we can aim to get promoted next year. Now I'm really expecting to see me jump forward talking about how we're in the relegation zone. But fingers crossed that's not the case. Let's go and do some transfer business. All right then, transfer business complete. And I'm actually rejoining you now with a couple of games played at the start of our third season. Season 3, with all of our challenges still needing to be completed, we find ourselves off the back of 2 wins to start our season. A 3-1 win that saw Paris Magoma, a name you may recognise, scoring a hat-trick from central midfield. And then the second game, MK Dons, a 2-1 win to give us 6 points from 6. One of our key performers in this game was once again Paris Magoma, but also a proper League One stalwart, Casey Palmer. In fact, the team that we've built feels very, very League One. And I don't think that's a bad thing at this stage if we're aiming to try and get promoted from here. The goalkeeper is Ted Kurd, the former Chelsea youngster, with a defence of Edmonds, Green, Santos and Best, and then a really strong central midfield area with Paris Magoma and Casey Palmer in there. We're maybe weakest up front where we've got Brandon Hanlon leading the line alongside Marco Mahoney, but we're now using this system that looks like this. In possession, it's a 5-3-2 with the 2 midfielders being the main men and the wing backs providing all the width. And then out of possession, we fall into this 5-2-1-2 type shape that hopefully makes us nice and defensively solid. At least that has been the case in the first 2 games of this season so far. As you can imagine, it's been a very busy window and we've had that wage budget to go and spend. These are the players that we have brought in, all of them either on a free transfer or on loan. We've spent technically £20,000, but I think that's with one of the loan fees in there. Whereas we have sold a few players for some money too. We did sell Max Waters to Burton Albion for 160k. Max Walkman went permanently to MK Dons for 36k. And Liam Coyle, who we've had since the beginning, went for 90k to Burton Albion. It's again good money to be bringing in, and I'm always just really conscious of the financial situation because I don't want to go back into failing FFP again. One other bit of business that I am looking to do before the window closes is the loan of Kyrie Roddy, our star boy, if you want to call him that. I'm thinking that I want to give him some game time. One of our goals in this save is to bring through a new gen that plays internationally. Now, I think we've got a long way to go to get Kyrie Roddy to play for England. One thing he's going to need is some game time. So we're going to loan him. At the moment, I've accepted bids from Crawley Town and Forest Green, where they said they're going to play him quite a lot. I think he is a real talent, though. Looking at his attributes here, loaning him out, getting him to play regularly, I think represents smart business. So we'll get that one done. So that's another thing that we've got in the works at the moment. Now, though, it's time to get into the real meat of Season 3 here, where I'm saying it. I'm going to aim for promotion because I think we can do it. I'll see you in January. Okay, Merry Christmas of 2027 in game. It's now Christmas Day at about the midway point of our third season here at Accrington Stanley. 27 games into the season, and this makes for much, much happier reading. 27 games in, 49 points. We're 3 points off the top of the league. We're third in League One with Cardiff and Millwall above us, with Bolton just behind us. Now, Bolton are one of the teams in our challenge, one of the teams that we're trying to overtake. At this stage right now, I'm not going to tick that one off there just yet, but we are well and truly on track on overtaking one of the 3. Just an update on the other 2, by the way. Blackburn are playing in the Championship, currently 18th. And Burnley are also in the Championship at this stage, but they're 3rd in the league. So if we can get promoted this year, we would be in the same league as both of our other big rivals that I've declared as one of the objectives of the save is to overtake these 2. Dan Burn is playing for Burnley. That feels like a real perfect fit, doesn't it? Big, tall Dan Burn plays for Dan Burnley. Sorry. Back to the really important matters, though. We have, after our first 2 wins of the season, we had a decent August where we finished up with 2 losses. We did lose to Manchester United in the EFL Cup, so we're not going to be winning that one this season. And then we went on to have a pretty rubbish September before we pulled ourselves together a little bit and had a better October and a better November. We did, though, also lose in the FA Cup, so we won't be winning one of those 2 trophies this season. And it means that we can fully focus on this League One campaign. Squad-wise, our best performers have pretty much been the ones that I expected. Paris Magoma's been good. Casey Palmer's been brilliant in our midfield. Casey Palmer on a 7.25 average rating as one of our midfielders. But I did declare the strike force as being maybe a little bit weak. But Brandon Hanlon has scored 14 goals in 15 starts as one of our strikers. So maybe I was wrong. We don't really have any money whatsoever to go and spend in the January window. So unless we sell a player for a surprisingly big amount, I'd imagine that we're going to go straight through to the end of the season here and see whether we can get ourselves into those automatic spots, or perhaps as a minimum, try and get ourselves into the playoffs. Oh, and a quick update on Kyrie Roddy. He ended up going to Crawley Town and he's been playing regular football there. He's made 18 starts in League 2. He scored a goal and that regular football seems to be working a treat for him. You see these lovely up arrows as he continues to develop. His value is up to 1.2 to 3.9 million pounds. That bodes very well for us to either turn him into a superstar or I guess sell him for a massive amount of money, which I don't want to do because I want him to be the new gen that we've brought through and get him an England cap. Now though, I'll probably see you at the end of the season. And here we are then, welcome back to the end of our third season where we have finished safely in the playoff spot. We did not manage to get ourselves into those automatics, but we have got the chance of getting promoted to the championship, which is wild when you actually think about where we ended up finishing last season. We've turned it around as I hoped that we would. We play QPR in our playoff semi-final, and we've actually played the first leg of that, which we'll come on to. After 46 games though, we won 24, drew 7 and lost 15. We finished on 79 points, the same as Reading, who finished third, but still 8 points off Cardiff, who finished second, and 10 points off Millwall, who won the league on 89. So we weren't really particularly close to those automatic spots. Not to worry though, because we have the chance of the playoffs, and I'm obviously hoping we can go through and win the playoffs, but if we don't, I feel like we've at least given ourselves a really sound launch pad to get ourselves into the championship next season. But we might get ourselves there before that because we have got these playoffs. We've played the first leg of the semi though, where we lost, which is maybe why I'm talking about going again for it next season, because at the moment it looks like it's going to be an unsuccessful playoff run for us. We lost 2-1 in the first game, which was at Loftus Road. It was a Harry Gray goal, who, by the way, on FM26 looks like a really decent striker to pick up. Maybe if you're looking for a young, homegrown English striker to bring into your club. He looks really good. Anyway, he scored the opening goal on this game here. Casey Palmer, the star man for us this year, with the equaliser on 45, but then Richard Kone scored on 85. It means we have them back at home, so we're definitely not out of this. But I did want to come back now rather than after this next game, first of all in case we go out, but secondly because of the bit of news that just popped up, and that is that the Accrington Stanley chairperson, Andy Holt, is looking to step aside. So he has put the club up for sale, which could mean a massive change for this save in the near future. It could also, and it hasn't happened yet, it could also mean that we have a transfer embargo for the summer, and that actually would be a bit of a disaster. The other bit of bad news is that Jamal Blackman is back in goal, which in itself isn't bad news, but it means that our first choice keeper, Ted Kurd, is currently injured. So we're going to have to contend with that as we go into this second leg. But overall, as I show you the results from this season, you can see that we were a really good football team. We're definitely not an unbeatable football team, as we lost a lot of games over the course of the season. Now, though, I'm going to go and play this second leg, and hopefully we can turn around the deficit and get ourselves to Wembley again. And do you know what? Why did I even ever really doubt this? We've won the second leg 5-2. Goals from, that's not James Beattie, by the way, it is Jevon Beattie, not our director of football. Jevon Beattie, Mark O'Mahony, before they then got 2 goals back to equalise. It was Harry Gray and Ilias Chair. But then in the second leg, well, the last 20 minutes of the game, Hanlon scored twice and Kian Best scored right at the end. And this 5-2 victory has once again taken us to Wembley, where we will be playing Reading. Reading finished third, if you remember, same points as us in the league, but they did finish above us. So as I go here and I pick this team, this is going to be the team that we play, as we will walk out again at Wembley and try and get ourselves to the championship. Wembley Stadium, League One playoff final. Can we get the victory? And well, if Henderson can score this penalty, we will indeed be going to the championship. It's finished 1-1 and Henderson sends us to the championship. The worst team in the Football League are heading to the championship after 3 seasons. 1-1 it finished on the day. Bradshaw gave Reading the lead. Magoma, Paris Magoma, what a player he's been for us. Equalised on 50, and then it was 5-4 on penalties that did it. The worst team in the English Football League is going to the championship in 3 seasons. And I'm not going to lie to you, right now, the thought of building a team that can survive in the championship is quite terrifying. And this here, as we move through to July now, as pre-season has rumbled round for our 4th season, this here is why I find it terrifying. We are now 150 to 1 in the championship. We're predicted to finish bottom, and if you look at the top, we've got Fulham, Brentford, Leeds, Sunderland, Burnley, Middlesbrough up against us. That is some really, really big teams. Interestingly, it does mean we are now in the same league as we talked about earlier as our rivals, local rivals, Burnley and Blackburn. It does also mean that we have overtaken one of our rivals, Bolton, who will remain in League One. 1 down, 2 to go in that regard. But now, having not really started my summer business, it's time to try and build a team that can survive in the championship. I'm certainly not thinking about anything higher than that because, well, the board have given us £4,000 extra in wages to try and achieve survival. And that is what they've asked us for as well. We are supposed to attempt to avoid relegation from the championship. I mean, also to avoid relegation from the League One and League Two this year. But I think the top one is the one that actually matters right now. And in line with that as well, any talk of any type of takeover seems to have gone away right now. So, with basically no money to spend and a squad that is definitely in need of strengthening, I'm going to go into this transfer window and see if I can build towards, well, a decent championship team. I'm a bit worried, but I'll see when I've done some wheeling and some dealing. Okay, welcome back and welcome to a completely brand new team. I've done what I felt was necessary for this championship season to give us a shot, give us a chance, and it has meant basically gutting out the entire club and buying an entirely new squad. You'll already see that by not being able to recognize very many of the names on your screen right now, but even if I show you the transfer history, you can just see the sheer number of players that have been brought in and players that have been allowed to leave. It's 17 transfers in for a grand total of £0 spent. We had no money to spend, and it's 14 players out for a total of £1.8 million. The biggest sale was Paris Magoma. Didn't really want to let Paris Magoma go, but 625k. Same for Marco Mahoney as well, who's been really good for us. Wasn't ever a prolific goal scorer, but as the other striker in a 2-man strike force, he was really effective in that role. But over £1.2 million for the pair of them, I think it gives us that starting point to be able to, 1, spend more on wages. I've used a lot of the money that came in and moved it across to the wage budget. And 2, to build up a foundation of being financially stable, really, because we've struggled with that in the past and we've gone up through the league so quickly that I was worried about competing financially, and I was worried about the club just surviving generally, really, because we've also got a tiny stadium, of course, haven't we? So out of the 17 players that have come in, there are 1 or 2 that I probably will point towards. I'll go through the squad as well so that you can see who's here. But Dane Scarlett up front on a free transfer, I think is a really smart bit of business. He's only 24 as well, and he's always historically had really high potential in Football Manager. Hopefully that continues in this save too. Hopefully he can score the goals that can keep us in the championship and maybe then allow us to start dreaming a little bit bigger. You may be able to notice on the side here, Kyrie Roddy is again out on loan for this season. He's gone to Bristol Rovers on loan for this season coming up, and he's already made his debut as well, playing again in League 2. He's played 4 times. That loan with Crawley, I'm not sure I updated you on. He played 34 times, scored 3 goals. It's been really good for his development. I do think there is a long way to go though, and whether we can turn him into an England international, it's looking less and less likely as he gets older. Now that he's 18, he's going to be up against some pretty good footballers, isn't he? I should mention as well that we haven't really had any standout players in any of the subsequent youth intakes. But if we do get any decent players or the youth intake itself looks really good, I'll of course update you on that in the future. To show you in the tactics screen, we're going to continue playing this 5-3-2. It's very Inter and what Inter used when they got to the Champions League final. When I'm picturing the way that this plays, that's kind of what I'm thinking of. We've got a back 3 of MacArthur, Marcelin and Cashin. Cashin is a 26-year-old Irishman who's on loan from Brighton. Ted Kurd continues in goal, by the way. That's the same as last year. We're going to have a midfield of Tavares, Kayembe and Congreve. Tavares is a Cape Verde international. Cameron Congreve plays for the Wales national team, and you may recognise Edo Kayembe from his time at Watford. And then up front, we've got Dane Scarlett, as I showed you before, alongside another loanee. It's Jorge Cabazas Hurtado, again on loan from Watford. You can see it's a pretty well balanced team looking at the ability stars, and I think this is it feels very championship, does this squad that we've built. We have backups in most positions. Casey Palmer is still here, look, And it doesn't feel like a squad that is necessarily going to go and get themselves promoted yet. But if we can establish ourselves as a championship team and then incrementally improve the team over the course of the next 2-3 seasons, trying to aim then to get to the Premier League, I still feel like if we can get to the Premier League by like season 6, season 7, we'd give ourselves a chance of completing this challenge before season 10, which is the limit that I'm putting on myself. 10 seasons is all that we've got to try and achieve this goal. Championship season number 1 though, season number 4 at the club, it begins now. In fact, that is actually a lie because it has already begun. We've lost to Middlesbrough on the opening day before beating Oldham in the EFL Cup 5-1. Then we've drawn to Sunderland and lost to Coventry so far. So we've actually only picked up a point in our first 3 games in the championship, which is also why I'm not feeling all that confident. We need to go on a really good run of form to even really make sure that we stay up here. That though is my aim for now, as I'm going to go and play the games up until about the January transfer window. Well, at the midway point of our 4th season, we're in Dreamland. I'm in Dreamland. I can't quite understand how and why this is going as well as it's going, because we brought in 17 new players in the summer, and yet you'd expect with 17 players coming in that some would take a while to settle. The dynamics would be upset. They have to get used to playing with one another. I honestly feel like 95% of this squad have been a hit. And you'd expect some misses in 17, wouldn't you? Look at the squad right now and how they're performing before I even show you our position in the league. And you might notice the smile that's on my face as I say that. This could be glorious. This could put us way ahead of schedule. Anyway, before that though, have a look at the goals scored by Edo Kayembe, who's been playing in midfield, by the way. 12 goals from him, 13 from Dane Scarlett in 31 starts. We are at the end of January, so we have done some January business as well. 12 goals and 28 from Hurtado alongside him. And then there are some pretty fun names that we've not even got to yet. Casey Palmer has been brilliant, a 7.03 average rating. If I just sort by the average ratings, Hurtado up front, look, has also got himself 6 assists. There's been loads of assists from our wing-backs, Maxwell and Bennett. I'm continuing to find that if you use a 3 at the back, 5 at the back system with wing-backs that provide all of your width, it does silly things to the engine, and it also keeps you really defensively solid as well. Because of all of this, all of these factors that I mentioned, on the 27th of January, we currently sit in 3rd position. We are in the playoff spots, pushing to get ourselves into the automatic promotion spots. In fact, if we win our game in hand, we would move above Millwall to be in that 2nd position, that automatic spot to go to the Premier League. I can't believe I'm saying these words at this stage. By the way, Millwall, they were also in League One last season. They're looking to go and do the double promotion, which is exactly what we're looking to do. They won the league, whereas we came up in the playoffs last year. So it does go to show that this can be done. We've seen it with teams like Ipswich in recent history as well, but I just wasn't expecting it from us. 33 games into a 46 game season then. We've won 18, lost 8, drawn 7, 61 points on the board. Now, we are actually very close in points to the teams in 4th and 5th. And if we were to drop down to 6th, which could feasibly happen with just one bad result, it becomes a little bit tetchier. But right now, it seems pretty odds on that we'd get ourselves at least into the playoff spots. And we've been good in the playoffs, haven't we? We've been really good in the playoffs. I don't think we should be looking down though. Even though we have actually lost our last 3 games. We lost to Hull City at home, Burnley at home, which is one of our rivals, of course. If we go up and Blackburn and Burnley don't, we'd actually have achieved one of our goals for this video, which would be very lovely, wouldn't it? We did lose to Burnley though, and we did also lose to Charlton in the FA Cup. We won't be winning the FA Cup this year, and we also won't be winning the EFL Cup because we lost to Mansfield in that competition too. But the reason that I don't think we should be looking down and instead we should be looking up is our transfer business, because I have just made a monumental signing and a bit of a surprising signing as well, because we have just brought in, no, not Colbean Thor Darson. Instead, I mean, this man here, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, plays for us. He plays for Accrington Stanley in the year 2029. He'd been released and was a free transfer from the end of last season, and without picking up a club after leaving Leeds, look, we brought him on trial in January, and after trialing him, realised that he actually didn't want all that much in wages. He's on a wage of £5,500 per week, which is very affordable and really not that much money. He's only 31 as well. This man can definitely still score goals. And I'm hoping it can be a real game changer of a signing for us, alongside a signing that I'm trying to make right at this moment too, which is that of Datro Fofana. I've offered him a contract where he also would be willing to join for £5,500 per week as well. That's basically the most we can offer. But players that are on free transfers and have been on a free transfer for a while now are happy to come in on that wage. And it looks very likely now that we're going to be able to bring in Datro Fofana and Dominic Calvert-Lewin to make our attack even stronger than it's been so far. And it's been good. Dane Scarlett, Hurtado have both been really solid players for us. I want to mention as well, before we do continue here though, that this defence of MacArthur, Marcelin and Joseph Alou have been super solid this year. Good average ratings from all of them, but it feels so far away from that League One defence that was leaking all of those goals in that season before last. We feel like a solid football team that can grind out actual results, and long may that continue, because right now I'm going to go and see, can I take little Accrington Stanley to the promised land that is the Premier League? These are our remaining games, and it is genuinely a target right now. I will see you as we hit May for hopefully a promotion party. Can you imagine it? Accrington Stanley to the Premier League. I'll see you in May. Oh, Christ. It's not actually a bad Christ, although the date is now the 9th of May 2029. It is the end of our 4th season here at Accrington Stanley. And the reason that I'm stressing a little bit is that we're going into the playoffs again. The 3rd time we're in the playoffs for a league season. This time it's the championship playoffs though. We have finished 3rd. We've got the best possible seeding for the playoffs too. It's Fulham that have won the league, Leeds that have finished 2nd, and then it is us, Millwall, Sunderland and Hull in the playoff spots. We have won 24 of our 46 games and finished on a very, very respectable 80 points. 5 points off the automatic spot. Now, there are a few results where I actually think we could have got a lot closer to Leeds, but as we head into the playoffs where we will play Hull City home and away, this is our current starting 11. It is Kurd and then the same defence in front of them. It is Kayembe, Tavares and Palmer in the midfield. It is Bennett and Maxwell at the back. The only real change that we've made is to bring in Datro Fofana. And actually, Datro Fofana, who did sign in the end on that 5.5k week, look at his value, by the way. A sale here of one of these players that we bring in on a free can set us up for the rest of the save here. He's only 26 as well, and he's been very good for us. Datro has scored 8 goals in 12 games, and he's been keeping Dominic Calvert-Lewin out of the team. 12 games for DCL, 4 goals. He's also been really good. But now we must go and play Hull City home and away and try and get ourselves to the Premier League. One thing that I should mention at this stage as well is that signing Fofana and DCL became all that more important when Watford recalled Hurtado from his loan from us. So when I was bringing these players in, I was thinking, I don't really know who's going to start. Suddenly, we actually needed new strikers, and it kind of worked out quite nicely for us. Fofana would probably start ahead of him anyway. And okay, I've just played the semi-finals of the playoffs, home and away to Hull City, and these were the results. It was an away loss for us. Kayembe in an own goal, our goals, but a Kavuma McQueen winner from Hull City gave them the advantage for the second leg. But the second leg was at home, and was it really ever in doubt? No. We won that game 3-0 with goals from Thordarson, Kayembe and Jean Marcelin, one of our defenders, after they actually went down to 10 men, which made this a lot easier at the WAM Stadium, which, by the way, is our stadium, which is still, I don't think I've mentioned it, but it's a wild name, isn't it? This then sets up the chance for us to get to the Premier League. I mean, we are so ahead of schedule right now. The Premier League actually beckons, where we will be playing. I actually don't know this yet. I think I've got a very strong inkling based on the first leg, but I am waiting for the confirmation this is it here, as it's Sunderland that we will play in the Championship playoff final. Oh my word, what a game that was. I think it was 3-2 Sunderland in the first leg, and this game has finished 4-4 with 7-6 on aggregate. Is a wild result, isn't it? But it will be Sunderland. It went to extra time as well. Look, Mayenda, Fernandez, De Amarim, and then a goal actually in extra time for Millwall as well, Cato. So we have the chance of the back-to-back promotions, and it will be this Sunderland team that we take on. Robbie Keane is their manager right now. Alderete's still there. Wan-Bissaka plays for them. They've got Simon Adingra still playing for them. But we've now got about 11 days to prepare, and we're going to Wembley again. On paper, Sunderland feel like such a massive club to be playing against. I mean, they're tearing it up in the Premier League in real life as I record this. We are going to go with this for our final team. And actually, we need to remember, we finished third in this league, and we finished third for a reason above Sunderland, because this team of misfits have turned into real heroes right now. We're going to go with Fofana and Calvert-Lewin as the strikers to lead our line. It does mean leaving out Dane Scarlett, which is a risk, I think. But I'm going to go with the experience for a playoff final. And Calvert-Lewin and Fofana feels like a strike force that can strike fear into opponents. I'm going to go with this. And we're going to go and get ourselves out there at Wembley again to try and get ourselves to the Premier League. A win. One game. We're one game away from the Premier League. There's the Sunderland team. Brian Brobby leads the line. They've got Nordi Mukiele still there, look. I'm going to tell them this is a massive match. And we are on our way out onto the field right now. And while on that Wembley turf on our special day, well, we got the job done. I can't quite believe I'm saying this, but Accrington Stanley are heading to the Premier League in 4 seasons. The opening goal was scored by none other than Casey Palmer in what is so likely to be in his final game for this club. He scored the opening goal on 16 minutes, and with his contract running out and with us now going to the Premier League, we're probably going to have to look for reinforcements and improvements there. He scored the opening goal, and it put us on the way to what became a historic victory in the history of this club. Thiago Fernandez equalised for Sunderland a few minutes later. It looked like we were going to head into the break at 1-1. But guess who was there again? Yep, Casey Palmer smashed it into the far corner to give us a lead at the halfway point. 2-1. One more half to see through, and Accrington Stanley would be a Premier League team. Of course, that'd be too easy though, wouldn't it? So Sunderland went and scored an equaliser on 73 minutes with this Brian Brobby header, and that left the game needing a winner as we headed into the final 20 minutes. But then on 75 minutes, our corner was headed away, but we recycled it nicely for Kayembe to set up Dan Gore, who scored what turned out to be the winner. Sunderland 2, Accrington Stanley 3, and we were going to the Premier League. The board were obviously delighted. They called it an unbelievable promotion. The media called it a season of unlikely yet jubilant success for us. And it now gave us, as we headed into season number 5, another 5 seasons to try and complete this challenge and to win the Premier League. Crazily as well, but perhaps expected when you think about the Premier League money, the board gave us £30 million to spend, and our wage budget would now be £325,000 per week. If you think back to that season where it was 33k a week, we'd now be able to spend 10 times that on wages for our first season in the Premier League. If you thought I could get creative with a £0 transfer budget, let me just show you what I can do with £30 million to spend. It's time to get transfer busy. But before I can get involved in any type of transfer shenanigans, there's news regarding our stadium. With the club now moving to the Premier League, there are certain regulations and requirements in place for stadiums, and Accrington Stanley's WAM stadium is pretty tiny, so it doesn't meet those requirements. So in the infinite wisdom of the board, we've moved to London. The club have agreed to rent the Cherry Red Records Stadium, AFC Wimbledon Stadium if you're wondering, next season after their promotion to the Premier League. WAM Stadium does not meet minimum Premier League requirements. We're playing our home games in Wimbledon, and this means a 462-mile round trip to play home games. Imagine your club has risen from League 2 to the Premier League. You finally get to see your club play Premier League football, and then a home game is 231 miles away from where it used to be. That is ridiculous. They've also agreed to pay just over $5 million to improve the WAM Stadium, but that's going to take 6 months. So in the meantime, no, we're not going to play at Bolton or Burnley or Blackburn or any of our rivals nearby. No, we're off to Wimbledon for home games. That's surely not going to be annoying. Oh, and on another note, I want to point you towards Abul Fazl Husseinzada, who very technically is a youth prospect that we've developed that is now an international footballer. Yeah, he plays for Afghanistan. He's never played a first-team game for us. But very technically, can I tick that off our list of side quests? I think I might have to. I think I'm gonna. Back to more serious matters though, and I've been planning and scheming about how we're going to survive in the Premier League. Well, this is my tactical plan. We're going to go with 3 different systems and hope to try and use them all to survive. First and foremost, we've got the 5-3-2 or the 3-5-2, depending on whatever you want to call it. But it's the tried and tested system that we've used throughout this save that we know is solid and we know can get results. It got us up from the championship at the end of the day, didn't it? That's plan A, if you like. Plan B is a 4-4-2. For when we want to mix it up slightly, it's a 4-4-2, or you could even call it a 4-2-4 if you wanted to brand it in a slightly more attacking way. But really, the way that I see it is a 4-4-2. It is a gegenpress system, though, and it's pretty rudimentary. But again, I feel like we have to kind of play it that way, being in the Premier League now. But I feel like this can get results. And then finally, the third system is a 4-2-3-1, which I'm just not quite sure we've got the quality to play with yet. But ultimately, I think this is the plan that takes us to Premier League glory. If we can incrementally bring in the players that are going to be good enough to play in this system, this 4-2-3-1, this attacking 4-2-3-1, that's when I think we'll be able to start winning enough games to challenge at the very top, which of course is the aim of this save. You may notice though that looking at these players on the right hand side here, there's 2 things. One is that these are familiar names, and that's because I've not yet done any transfer business. It is now the 3rd of July, which means the window is officially open. I can sign players. I can also sell players. Now, this squad that got us to the Premier League, I love them. I love them all to bits. However, I'm not quite sure it's Premier League quality. In fact, it is once again a squad that is predicted to finish bottom of the league. This time, though, this squad is 2,000 to 1 odd. That shows that there is an outrageous gap in current ability with the rest of the squads in this Premier League. Liverpool favourites, then Arsenal, then City. We're right down there with an odds number that is too big to actually even fit on the screen. That's always worrying. But this means that I'm probably going to allow most of these players to leave. If I show you down here, you can actually see here just how many of these players are attracting interest and I've been inviting bids for. The good thing is that all of these players were signed on free transfers. So when I do sell players on, it's going to be pure profit, which is going to help things like financial fair play. And it will allow us, hopefully, to build on the £30 million transfer budget that we've got to spend to give us a war chest that fit into these 3 systems that I've detailed, and operations stay in the Premier League can really commence. That's what I'm going to go and do now. Let's go and do the transfer business that I think might be the most important in the entire save. Okay, welcome back to the most ambitious Grand Designs episode you've ever seen when it comes to building, because that's what we've done for this Premier League. I have brought in 15 players in this transfer window to try and help us survive in the Premier League. I have sold 17 players. We have spent £69 million and we have received £44 million. So an outlay of £25 million inside that £30 million transfer budget. We're healthy when it comes to finances. And I do think we've built a squad. Now, there's a real theme with the squad that we've built. But let me show you some of the players in isolation first of all. Let's go from the most expensive and down. We've gone for, first and foremost, Christopher Ayer. He's 31, and we've spent £17 million on him. He is proper Premier League experience. He's also absolutely massive and can play in a few different positions. You can use him at centre-back. You can also use him as a defensive midfielder, which I've done in the past. Weirdly, he can also kind of play striker, which... it wasn't me who's used him there, which is the weird thing about this. We've then also signed Salvatore Esposito for £12.5 million. He's real quality to play in our midfield. We've got Dion Bellio. Do you remember him from a couple of FMs ago? He was the go-to when he was playing for, I think it was Osijek in Croatia you could sign him from. As most Croatian players do, he's moved to Dinamo Zagreb in the meantime, but we've picked him up for £10 million and he's a 6'5" striker. Again, with lots of quality. He's a Croatian international footballer, now 27. Have you begun to pick up the theme? Maybe. Next up, though, is Habib Diarra, who's going to play in our midfield. Again, Premier League experience for him. He's only 25, Senegalese international. Just well-rounded, all-round quality for £9 million there. And then this one may give away the theme even more than any of the others. It's Skelly Alvaro from Werder Bremen. He's a midfielder and he's 6'8". Yeah, we're going for massive players. I do really want to be very Brentford. I want to come into the Premier League and not give up anything physically. We want to compete with even the most physical teams in the league that have managed to get success that way. I'm thinking of Forest a couple of seasons ago, Brentford this season, teams that are roughing up some of the bigger teams in the league and getting results as a result of that. This aligns with our decision to start with a 5 at the back and then hopefully develop and evolve when we can bring even more quality in. These players, I wouldn't say they're fully just brutes, but they're sort of fully brutes, aren't they? Just go through the final players on this list here. There's a few players. Lucas Stassin is a striker. He comes in from Sunderland. Tivgic from Dusseldorf, and then some free transfers. I think we've done some good free transfer business too. Asula, Sirkin, Akanji, Tomiyasu, Sanusu's a flying left back, and Lucas Rosa comes in on a free. And we've brought in the following money. The biggest sale that we made was Jean Marcelin, the centre back. We sold him to Damac for £16 million. Kayembe went to Almeria, 7.75. Then a few more sales on there too, 2.2 million for Dane Scarlett, etc., etc. One thing too, we have loaned out Kyrie Roddy. He's gone to Coventry this year. Again, trying to get him that first team football. He was part of my plans to play him, and then we brought in some really good midfielders, and I thought, I don't think he's going to play enough. He is developing really nicely, look. So we've sent him to go and play in the Championship for Coventry, and I think that should be really good for his development. I'm still aiming really to make him an England international, but technically we've already ticked off that side quest, haven't we? So I guess I don't need to bother as much. I'm still going to try. We're going to try and make Kyrie Roddy an England international. All of that, though, means that the squad looks like this. In our 5 at the back system, we're going to have Ted Kurd continue to keep goal, but we might need to be looking for a new keeper at some point. Just looking at the star abilities there. He's been so good for us, though, so I'm okay with him starting, but I guess long term, that's probably an area to try and upgrade. We're going to have a back 3 of Dominguez. I don't think I showed you Dominguez. Sergi Dominguez, who's 6'3" and lots of quality, actually, a Spaniard. Tivgic on the left-hand side. Tivgic, again, he's pretty big, 6'6", Croatian centre-back. And Christopher Ayer in the middle that we know about. Another massive player, Alvaro, in at DM, with Lucas Rose on the right-hand side and Sanusi on the left. Esposito and Diarra, I think, is good quality in our midfield. And then Dion Bellio and Asula. Will Asula, coming in on a free, obviously from Newcastle previously, is going to lead our line. And it's again a player that's played in the Premier League before. And we do have some quality on the bench too. Datro Fofana, Calvert-Lewin is still here. Stassin is a good striker. We've got Tomiyasu Akanji to boost our defence too. I think, and I hope you agree, that I have built a team that does have some Premier League quality here, maybe lacking in certain areas. Now, though, we need to go and see if we can survive. And I think we're going to go and play our first game of our new Premier League season. Right, so I'm back, and it is the end of August. Well, it's actually the start of September here, and I wanted to return because I wanted to show you the start to our season here in the Premier League. Now, we got off to a pretty inauspicious start. We had Liverpool at home, and they beat us 1-0. It was a Chiesa goal just before the hour mark, and our defensive system, it kind of contained them, but they won the game. We then backed it up with a draw away at Norwich, which in itself is okay. They equalised after Stassin scored the opening goal for us, and it was our first point in the Premier League. We then had a nice EFL Cup draw where we beat Chesterfield 4-1 before drawing with Newcastle at home. And it was during this game that I had a bit of a brainwave. Now, I talked for a long time about our systems and our approach and the way that we're going to play this Premier League season. Well, during this game, it dawned on me that maybe just attack is still the best form of defence, and it might be the best way home for us for this Premier League season. Forever on Football Manager, attacking seems to be the best way to get any types of points. Well, after drawing this game 3-3, we went more attacking against Manchester City in the Cup. I felt like this is a bit of a throwaway game. We might as well go for it, see how we do. And we went with the attacking system in this game and won 2-0 away from home. Now, Man City, they did rest a few players, but it was still a ridiculously strong team. Look at their team. They've got Kylian Mbappe in there, Rodri, they've got Reinders still playing, Diaz is still in there. They've picked up Lennart Karl from Bayern Munich, which is a fun one. I mean, we beat a team that contained Kylian Mbappe in this save with Accrington Stanley. So that made me fully commit to it for this game here with Leeds, which is why I'm back right now, because after going attacking, and when I say attacking, I mean the 4-2-3-1 system that I thought we'd eventually start playing, we beat Leeds 6-1. And some of the goals, some of the football we played in this game, it gives me real hope. Now, it's just one game. I will admit it is just one game, but it was a 6-1 win in the Premier League. Now, you may notice in this game too that there's a couple of new wingers we've brought in that I brought in on deadline day. Harry Wilson is one of them, and Vidovic from Bayern Munich is the other one. Both of them were involved in our first goal in this game. Between the two of them, it bounces around before Esposito puts it in. But then after equalising, we just sort of kept attacking and kept taking the game away from Leeds United and kept scoring goals with our massive brute force footballers, and then just a little bit of quality in there too. I may be getting ahead of myself. That is true. That is true. But this makes me feel like the sky's the absolute limit for this club. Survival is the bare minimum now. And I'm feeling like we can think higher in the future. What a start then. A 6-1 win as a Premier League team. I'm going to go now and play until January, and I'm hoping we're going to be in a really decent position when I'm back. And we are in a really good position through January, because now, as we actually head into February of 2030, Accrington Stanley, halfway through the season, are a top half or mid-table Premier League team with 10th in the league after 22 games. We've got 32 points, which if you think about that magic 40-point mark, which you consider to be definitely safe, we're only 8 points off it, and I'm actually thinking we are probably safe, because look at the teams that are currently in the relegation zone. Leeds are on 15 points, and then Fulham have got 5 points from 23 games, and West Ham have 3 points from 22 games. One of those points was actually against us away from home. We drew to them, so that's not a great look, is it? But what is a great look is the fact that we are in 10th, over past the halfway point of this season, and I think it should only get better. I'm hoping it should only get better. Even though I'm speaking about things like avoiding relegation, I actually think we should be looking upwards. We're 7 points off 6. Look, Manchester United are currently in that position there. So maybe that's where we should be aiming instead. But let's be completely honest. If we finish mid-table, if we continue what we've started here for the remainder of this season, I will be delighted. A quick little look at the form here to show you some of our results in here. To sum it up, I'd probably say that we're able now to get results against lots of Premier League teams, but we still come unstuck when we play the bigger teams, especially away from home. Some of the standout results on here, look, a 4-0 away loss to Newcastle. They're a really strong team. When we play away from home, we struggle. They beat us quite categorically. But then results around it, look, was a 2-0 win against Leeds and a 2-0 win at home to Palace. So we can get results. Then again, we lost 5-0 to Arsenal, even though that was actually at home, that one. And then Spurs here, look, away from home, we lost 5-0. That kind of sums it up for me. I think we are on the cusp of becoming a team that can really challenge these top teams in the Premier League. But we have built a team that's strong enough to go to most places and at least put in a performance, most places. As it is now February, I have also done a little bit of January business, mainly coming from the fact that we sold William Asula. Will Asula was sold for £15 million, which is a £15 million profit as well. He's gone to Copenhagen, and that was just a good bid that I felt like I couldn't really reject, and it allows me, I suppose, to go and reinvest it in a replacement for him, but also in other areas of the squad as well. And that's kind of what I've done. If I just filter this by the dates, look, the players that left in January, this almost came from the nice position of being able to say to players, if they complain about anything, okay, I'll sell you then, and actually being able to do that, because we signed them all on free transfers. I feel much more liberated to just sell them and take the profit and then use that profit to bring in other players. The world, it feels like the world is our oyster when it comes to bringing in players. And so I've said goodbye to Sergi Dominguez. Sanusi went to Real Valladolid. He's the left wing back. We've replaced him. Matthew Brown, Will Asula and McCaffrey have all left the club during the January window. You see the profits on most of the players there, look, which is very nice indeed. I've reinvested in these players. There are 5 new arrivals in January, actually in Feb, for Chiarodia at the top there. We'll start with him, left-sided centre-back from Nuremberg. He's going to come in and be one of our centre-back options. Katovic is going to come in and be a midfield option for us. He's massive and very high quality. I'd look at his attributes there and think, that's a solid midfielder. Half-back, potentially more defensively minded. Up front, to replace Will Asula, I've signed Artem Stepanov on loan from Porto. Again, he's a bit of me, isn't he? 6'4" with decent pace, decent acceleration, and pretty good finishing as well. That's kind of what I look for in a striker. And then finally, I've reinvested in the wing backs. On the right-hand side, Lucas Caligari comes in. And then finally, possibly I think maybe the most influential signing that we make in this January window, Leif Davis has joined for £3.5 million. It means that our team now looks a little bit like this. I've been flip-flopping between the tactics a little bit. At the moment, we're playing the 4-4-2. The flat back four with Davis on the left-hand side, Tomiyasu or Caligari on the right-hand side, Aya, Tivgic, Alvaro dropping in this midfield here. I wonder if next season I might need to nail down the tactic that we're going to be using, because I've definitely been tweaking and changing. Most of the time it's worked out, but sometimes I wonder if we had just a settled tactic approach, if that would be more beneficial. Maybe when we can bring in more quality, we can try and lock into something like that. And speaking of locking in, that's exactly what I'm going to go and do now. Let's go and finish this season in the Premier League, see if we can build on 10th or whether the wheels kind of fall off. But I'm still thinking we probably won't go down, because what, we're 17 points clear of Leeds in 18th. It would be a hell of a bad second half of the season if we got relegated. I don't think we will. I'll see you in May to confirm. And here we are then at the end of our 5th season with Accrington Stanley. We are so far ahead of schedule, it's a joke. but after 5 seasons, we are now officially a top half Premier League team. We finished 9th this year, and that is, to me, pretty outrageous. A 53-point season. I was dreaming of looking up the table a little bit. That's not happened. We finished 17 points behind Manchester United in 6th. So European games, not yet. Maybe one for the future, that one. But I didn't need to worry about the teams below us. It was West Ham, Fulham and Wolves that have gone down. West Ham actually had a much better second half of the season and picked up some points. They got 17 points in total there and will be relegated. Fulham down on 21, Wolves down on 30. We finished 23 points clear of the relegation zone, and we finished just below Newcastle, Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool. Arsenal are the champions. A really low points total to win the league there, and Arsenal went on a really good run of form to win that title there. Look, it is an 82-point champion season. That's what we need to aim for from now on. Maybe not next year, but still, I'm starting to dream big. Quick point of business is to let you know that we didn't win either of the cups this year. Out of all of our side quests, we have achieved an international new gen, so I'm ticking that one off, even if it is slightly on a technicality. We have overtaken our rivals. Blackburn, Burnley, Bolton are all in the league below us, so I'm going to say we've done that one. We've not yet won a cup. And of course, we've not yet won the Premier League. In terms of results, it was much of the same really in the second half of the season. We came unstuck when we played some of the big hitters. For example, we lost to Arsenal here. We did lose at home to Villa. We did draw to Chelsea here. And we even drew to Spurs, which is an improvement on the 5-0 that they inflicted on us earlier in the season. But then looking at a 2-0 loss to City, a 4-0 loss to Liverpool, this is where I think, and even in there, look, a 5-2 loss to Manchester United. It's these games against the big teams in the league where we need to try and close that gap a little bit. And maybe that is just small amounts of extra quality. I'm thinking in terms of the squads, if we receive a big bid for a player, I think I then would probably sell. However, my aim going into the window, I think, is to try and maybe move on a few of the squad players and use that money to bring in quality that makes some of our starters now become the squad players. It's a quality improvement that I'm looking for rather than the sweeping changes that we've seen in previous transfer windows. Specifically, I wonder if we can get a little bit more quality if we're going to play with one striker using like a 4-2-3-1 as we were using here. Bellio scored 9 goals in 19 starts. I wonder if we can invest properly in like a proper striker. That might be a way to go. And then I still think we could maybe up the quality at centre-back. Tikvic and Aya are great, but I think specifically Tikvic that maybe we can bring in somebody just that little bit better there. So, and then there's still the conversation, I suppose, about Ted Kurd in goal, who has been really good for us, but I do wonder if we can bring in a proper Premier League proven. I mean, I guess he is proven in the Premier League now, hasn't he? He's played a season here, but maybe we can invest a little bit there too. We'll see. That's kind of my thinking going into this window. The last thing I need to show you before I actually go and do some transfers is we've once again moved. We've now moved, not back to London though, but we've gone to Ewood Park. So Blackburn is where we'll be playing our football for the first 9 months of this season. And that is because they are once again expanding the Wham Stadium. And an extra 2,500 seats are being put in, but it's going to take 9 months. At least this time, we're ground sharing with Blackburn and not Wimbledon, which was just still so wild to me. Now though, time for transfers. And transfers have been completed, and maybe I'm unable to just do small amounts of transfers. Maybe I get drawn into buying players because I find it so fun every single summer, and that's kind of what I've done here again. I do think, though, it's been a successful window overall, and now I've actually hid the top incoming. I want to reveal that in a second, but to show you, we've spent £68 million in this transfer window. We were given about £25 million, but I've topped it up with a few sales. We've received, look, £47.5 million. So you can see that that 25 to 30 million that we got given is still within the money that we've spent and brought in for the summer, if that makes sense. Let's start with sales because there are a few interesting ones in here. £20 million was brought in with the sale of Salvatore Esposito. He went to Leicester for 20 million. That's a £5 million profit. We also sold both to Saudi teams, Lucas Rosa and Takahiro Tomiyasu. It was £9.75 million and £9 million. So just under 20 million for those two players, as well as selling on Dion Bellio, which means, yes, I have brought in a new striker to replace him. That was one of my things I was thinking about, wasn't it, before this window? He's gone to Hertha. I've also sold Dan Gore, Harry Wilson, and a few other players that you can see down there, look, which includes players like Lucas Stassin and also another loan for Kyrie Roddy. I am still aiming to make him an England international. He's only 20. I'm just wondering if it might be a little bit impossible at this stage. We'll try. We will continue to try. Incomings then, and then I'll show you the squad. I have signed, let's start at the bottom here, some really, really useful free agent signings. It's one thing we've been able to do throughout this save. Use that free agent market to bolster our squad and bring in players that just improve us. And I think this might be the best example of that yet. We've brought in Ignace van der Bremt, a right back from Belgium on a free transfer. We've brought in Sene Lammens. Now, I talked about wanting to improve on Ted Kurd in goal. We've brought in Lammens, who's the Manchester United goalkeeper. He's on a free transfer and he's still only 28 and he's a Belgium international. He's really good, 6'4", and he's going to be our new number 1. And that's an outrageous bit of business. And I don't even think it's the best bit of business this summer, because I've also brought in Sverre Nypan, the FM Wonderkid legend that is Nypan, on a free transfer. He didn't really ever play for Manchester City. He made a few appearances each season, then we trialed him and then he was able to join on a free transfer. You can see he's made a really good start since being here. We are in September, by the way. The window is now closed. We've actually started our second season here in the Premier League, and he's played 4, scored 1, got 2 assists and been the player of the match twice out of those 4 games. So a really good start. And I'm not even sure it's the best start of our new signings, which I nearly showed you there, but I've scrolled down. I've also signed Raskin on a free transfer. Quincy Hartman, a really, really good left back for us. Esri Konsa, experience in droves to come and play as one of our defenders. And then I spent a bit of money on the following. Christian Medina is a midfielder, can also play on the right wing. He's Argentinian. He played for Boca Juniors earlier in his career. And then finally, Max Dean for £10.5 million. He is a striker, but he's going to be the backup striker, because I have also spent big. Here he is, our new big man up front, Ilyas Ansa. He has cost us £40 million, but he is, I think, and I hope, going to be the man that shoots us towards the top of this Premier League. He's going to be the striker that eventually wins us the Premier League. I'm saying it right now, £40 million. He's 6'6". He's got 16 pace, 14 acceleration. He can finish, he can really dribble. And already he's proven that he can score goals, because in his first game for the club in the Premier League, he scored twice, he got 2 assists, and he was player of the match and got a 10 out of 10 rating. That is about as good a start as you can expect from a new striker, isn't it? He's going to lead our line in this system here. It's a 4-3-3, a slight departure from the 4-2-3-1, but Ansa is going to lead our line with Medina wide right, Rollheiser. I'm not sure I've shown you too much of Benjamin Rollheiser. He's another Argentinian. He's very similar to Medina, which is why I quite like these two off our wings. They're very creative playmaker type players, but they're going to come inside from these wide areas and hopefully just make things happen around the big man up front, Ansa. Then in our midfield, we've got the industry of Habib Diarra, the mercurial talent of Nypan, and then the brute force of Alvaro in defensive midfield. He's actually playing as a dropping defensive midfielder out of possession as well, so it becomes out of possession basically a back 5, which is going to hopefully give us the solidity. And I think solidity is the word for this defense. Hartman at left back, Konsa, Ayer and Van der Bremt with Lammens in goal. I think that's a lot of Premier League quality there. And all of them are players, with the exception of Hartman, you'd probably say, that are defence first, attacking second. Hartman, I guess, is a flying left back. That, though, with this really strong bench here, I think is a team that can go and make things happen in the Premier League. I mean, do you agree? I mean, I've got some evidence if you don't agree, because in the first month or so of this season, this is how we've kicked things off. We have beaten Crystal Palace away from home 2-1. We have beaten Nottingham Forest 2-0 at home. We have lost. That is a little bit of a reversion to type a bit. We lost 4-1 away at Spurs, which wasn't great. Lammens only had a 5.8 in that game as well, but they're really good. All of our previous meetings show that they beat us every time. My main thing is that we did bounce back from this. We beat Stoke 1-0 in the cup. We're still in that cup, trying to win a cup, of course, for our side quests. And we've just beaten Ipswich 5-0. This was the game that Ansa scored twice and got 2 assists. What a performance. It was his first game for the club. And now, heading into this season, where are we actually predicted to finish? I don't know. I assume still pretty low down. We are predicted to finish second bottom, because Crystal Palace are 2,000 to 1 right at the bottom. Do we have any players in the Dream 11? No, of course we don't. But this season, I'm aiming big. I reckon we can go and get ourselves, let's aim for Europe. Maybe Conference League, maybe Europa League, maybe Champions League, because why not? We've shown that we can beat teams. We're third in the league after 4 games. I'm going to be back in January, where I'm really hoping this positivity that's flowing through me right now is still there and I've not been FM'd. See you in Jan. And it is January and I am still flowing with happiness. It is a really, really good season so far. This is our form, and I want to start on this game here because I think it sums it up a little bit. We've just beaten Spurs 2-1. It was a late winner from Ilyas Ansah, the big man up front, but it goes to show the progress that we've made. Here at Ewood Park, which is now where we play our games, we've also beaten some other good teams too along the way in this first half of the season. We have lost games. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. We have lost games. We lost to Leeds, we lost to Bournemouth, but we did beat Chelsea, look. We beat Arsenal, the champions from last season. Lost to Liverpool, but we gave them a real game with 10 men because Hartman got sent off in the first half in that game. We drew to Manchester United 4-4, but we beat Man City 2-0. This is why I'm particularly confident right now. This is why I'm feeling like this could even be the season. What are you talking about, Clayts? I can hear you saying that, but let me show you this Premier League table. We are second after 20 games. We would go top if we win our game in hand. I am not making this up. If we win our game in hand, we go to 45 points and would have a 2-point lead at the top of the Premier League. It's a window of opportunity, this Premier League table. Arsenal are currently top, but they've not been infallible this season. They've drawn 4 and lost 4 in their first 21 games. Bournemouth are third at the moment, with Manchester United in 4th, Liverpool in 5th, City down in 6th. You got Spurs in 11th, Chelsea in 12th. This is the type of Premier League table, the type of Premier League season that you dream of if you're going for your first title. Now, I know that the likelihood is that we don't go and win it from here, but I'm not sure I could ask for better circumstances to have a proper good go at it. Things are going really well. We're performing really well. We're using this 4-3-3 system now, and it feels like it's all starting to click. And now with it being January, and also with the board being very helpful and giving us £36.5 million to go and spend, if I can bring in a little bit of quality, why not? Why can't we go and get results in the rest of these games? Why can't we go and win this league title? We're there past the halfway point. And yes, it's way ahead of schedule. And yes, it's unlikely. And yes, the wheels might completely fall off. But if there's a player that's out there that is top quality and is interested in joining us, why can't I spend the money and try and make this happen? And that's exactly what I'm going to go and try to do right now. I'm probably going to be back before the run-in of the season, because if we're anywhere near winning this title, I want to do it with you guys coming along on the journey as well. Seeing those results come in and seeing if we can go and do it. But first of all, I'm going to go and do some transfers, and then I'll be back, hopefully with another really positive update, because I love these boys and I reckon we can actually do it. It's oh my word. It's March of season 6. We're joint top of the Premier League on 53 points. Manchester United are second, also on 53. Arsenal are third on 52. Bournemouth are fourth on 52. Liverpool are still there in 5th on 50. I'm not even going to rule out City and Newcastle, who are both on 48. It's a 7-way Premier League title race this season, but we are right there after 28 games. There are 10 games between us and the most monumental, outrageous achievement in Football Manager. This is, we are close. We are close. We are so close. As Pep Guardiola once said, these are the results. We're actually off the back of 2 pretty poor ones as well at the end of March. A 2-2 draw with Villa away from home and a 2-0 loss to Brighton. Otherwise, this would have been even better for us. We're heading into the FA Cup quarter-finals here, look, where we play Arsenal. So we're still in that competition. We are, though, out of the EFL Cup, if you're thinking about our side quest. We lost to Leeds in that one. But look at our list of results and just look at where we are in the Premier League table. All of the teams around us are also dropping points. That's the glorious thing about this season. We've dropped points in 12 games. So have United. 13 games for Arsenal, 13 for Bournemouth, and even 13 for Liverpool as well. Look, that's a high percentage of games where teams at the top of the table are dropping points, and it's allowed us to kind of sneak in here despite us losing 7 of our 28 games. And I did go and strengthen in January as well. There wasn't like a big standout player that I could go and spend loads of money on to really make us better, but I did spend a hefty chunk of money on Simon McGovern, a new gen 6'5" central midfielder from Everton. We spent It was £20 million we spent on him, and he's going to come into the team, but he's probably still, I mean, he's really good, but he's probably still one for the future rather than a starter right now. And that's where most of the money went. But he obviously does come in now to become a good backup. I also did bring in some other ones as well. Ian Coleman was one of them as a centre-back option, and Duncan Murphy likewise. But nothing really to push the needle too much, because I mean, if I'm being honest, I wasn't expecting us to maintain this title challenge. These are players for the future, if we're being completely honest. But right now, these are the fixtures that are between us and greatness. We play Leicester, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Norwich, Newcastle, Southampton, Liverpool, Arsenal, Leeds, City. Our run-in is outrageously difficult. Liverpool, Arsenal, City in 3 of our last 4 games, and then we also play Chelsea and Newcastle in the last 10 games or so here. It's obviously not easy, but we've got results in games before. I'm obviously going to throw everything that I've got at trying to win it from this point, and I'm going to come back for the run-in, probably for the games against Arsenal, Leeds, City, if we're still in with a shot of winning the title. If we're out of it, I'll probably see you at the end of May. But if we're still in it, let's go and play some games together and go for this title with Accrington Stanley. Okay, I am back, and the date is the 3rd of May, 2031, our 6th season here, and this is the current situation. We are 3rd with 3 games to go in this league season. It is now very unlikely that we win this league title. However, it's not impossible, and that's why we're going to go through these last 3 games together, because if things go our way, there is still a chance. We're 2 points off the top. Look, it's Arsenal, then Newcastle, and then us. And then actually Manchester United, if they win their game in hand, would go joint top with Arsenal and Newcastle 2 on 69. But the key thing here is that this game next, we play Arsenal. We're away from home, and then we still play Manchester City away from home before the end of this season. It is right there to play for, but we need to get a result in this Arsenal game. So if we go and play this game together now and don't win, we'd pretty much know that things are over. So that's why we're going to go and do it together. Results since I last saw you have been pretty topsy-turvy. There's been some great wins in there. For example, we beat Liverpool not that long ago, a 2-1 win with Naipan scoring both goals in that game. But then we dropped points and lost to Newcastle, who are of course also up there. Jeremy Monga scored twice in that game. He is a real talent in FM26, isn't he? We also drew to Southampton away, which is really disappointing, especially when I show you the Premier League table, which showed that they are the team that is currently bottom. So really 2 points dropped in that game. It is though squeaky bum time, because if I go here, these are Arsenal's fixtures. You can see that, yes, they've won most games recently in the league, but they have just lost to Real Madrid in the Champions League. Maybe that can affect them before our game together here. But if I go back to, say, March, you can see that they drew to Chelsea and Everton in March. And before that, in January, they dropped loads of points. They drew to Villa, Newcastle, lost to Liverpool, drew to Manchester United. I forget Villa's in the Champions League there, but still, there are points being dropped everywhere you look, and it could still all change. But it is going to come down to these games here. So we're going to go and do Arsenal together using this 4-3-3 system with this as our team. By the way, Ilias Ansah now has 26 goals in 39 games. In the Premier League, that is 21 goals already with, 3 games to go? If he can break 25 goals, can you imagine? That's a really good signing, isn't it? £40 million. What a signing he's been since he came in. And the team is currently looking like this then. A 4-3-3. Rolheiser's on the right-hand side at the moment with Medina coming into the midfield. Because we're really good now, I've got 2 more creative midfielders, and I've taken Habib Diarra out of the team. Katovic is currently the defensive midfielder as well, rather than Alvaro, but Alvaro still played 14 games. Andino was a player that I didn't show you in January, but did come in on a free transfer as well, and he's got really nice dribbling, so I like using him off this left-hand side. I think this is the way that we're going to roll into this game with Arsenal here. Let's go and get ourselves into it, and if we can get a result here, it's on. It's back on, because right now, we're not the favourites. But if we win here against the team that's currently top, and maybe if other results go our way, this could still be on, couldn't it? There's the Arsenal team. They've got Buadi and Nwaneri and Ducat in that midfield. Havertz is leading the line for them. That doesn't scare me as much as maybe you'd expect an Arsenal team that's top of the league to scare you right now. That, though, there was the Premier League table. This now, with the teams now coming out from the tunnel, is absolutely massive. Arsenal versus Accrington Stanley, with 3 games to go, a top of the table title clash. I don't know why I gave my manager an all purple tracksuit, but look at him there, looking completely out of place. But there are the 2 teams. Let's get ourselves underway and pray that we can get a result. And well, we have got ourselves a result. Arsenal 1, Accrington Stanley 3. Azurian Timber, 13th minute red card for that tackle there on Sverre Nypan. Gave us the advantage in terms of numbers, and it's all we needed to go and run out as winners here at the Emirates. It was Medina that gave us the lead in the first half with this goal here. Van der Bremt down the right-hand side, getting his cross in. Medina near post to make it 1-0. And then a minute into the second half, Hartman played it into Nypan, who played it into Medina, who played it back to Katovic, over to Van der Bremt. And he smashed it. Well, I say smashed it. He managed to get the ball past Trubin in the Arsenal goal for 2-0 on 46 minutes. And then in the 93rd minute, in added time, we made it 3-0. Sealed the deal with that volley from Dean. His first goal ever for the club. Arsenal did get a consolation, but a 3-1 victory at the Emirates means that the table now looks like this. Results have gone our way. We've beaten Arsenal to leapfrog them, now on to 70 points. So obviously Arsenal lost their game. But whilst that was happening, Newcastle also played Liverpool and Liverpool beat them. Goals from Vitor Roque, Isak against his old team, and Ekitike gave Liverpool a 3-1 win. And that means with 2 games to go, our main threat to this title is Manchester United, who currently have a game in hand over us. If they win that game in hand, which is against, let me check, bottom of the league Southampton, it will be them that goes top of the league with 2 games to go. But if we can win even just the next game, it means that we take this title race to the final game of the season. Oh, and then after that final game of the season, we actually play Manchester United in the FA Cup final. We made it through to the final of the FA Cup by beating Millwall in the semi-final, and also Newcastle before that, before Arsenal in the round before that. We're in fantastic form. Our final run in games are Leeds at home, a game we have to surely go and win. And then Man City on the final day of the season. I'm going to go and play the Leeds game and be back to play the Man City game with you, because I have a feeling that things are going to go to the last day here, and it would be a lovely way to finish up if results could go our way, right? I'll see you on the 17th of May, where this could all come together. Well. This is the situation on the final day of season 6 of this save. We, heading into the final day of the season, are top of the league. It all kicked off in that previous match week, and I said we'd be going into this final day of the season with a chance of winning the title. Right now, as it stands, we're going in as the current leaders. We, after 37 games, have 73 points, but a superior goal difference to Manchester United, who also have 73 points. And that is because in the previous round of fixtures, we played Leeds United and we won 4-3. An outrageous game of football has finished with Sverre Nypan doing this. With the game locked at 3-3 in the 88th minute, Nypan smashed that one in to give us the win. A win that is priceless because it takes us into the final day, top of the league, as I showed you before. And that is because Manchester United could only draw to Bournemouth. Bournemouth are a great team themselves, right up there in the Premier League. But it was a 91st minute equaliser from Idan Toklamati to give them a point, but a point isn't enough to knock us off the top of the table. It's us top, United second, Arsenal third, and City, who are fourth. The kicker, though, is that our final day fixture, which we're going to play together now, is against Manchester City. Manchester City, who are led by James Marwood as manager. Yep. They've got an interim manager, a coach, after they sacked Luis Enrique in December. They've let James Marwood lead the team for 137 days, though. He won them a cup. He actually won the Carabao Cup for them. But weirdly, he's the manager that we need to try and best here. Their team is outrageous as well. They've got Kylian Mbappe. They've got Vinicius Jr. They have got a ridiculous team that we need to overcome on the final day. And if we can do it, we're champions. If we can't do it, it will either be United or Arsenal, or even potentially James Marwood's Manchester City. We're going to go and play that game now because it all could possibly, potentially come down to this. I can't believe we're going into this now. The team is Lammens in goal, Van der Bremt at right back, Hartman left back, Iron Concert at the back. Alvaro is going to come in and play that role, the 6'8" destroyer. Nypan and Medina, the creative hub of the team. Andino plays left, Rollheiser right, and the giant up front. Ilyas Answer leads our line. Let's get into this game, and this is what it all comes down to. Win here, and we're champions. Drop points here. If Manchester City do their Manchester rivals a favour, Manchester United will be the champions too. I'm going to say carry on the way you've been playing. There's the City team. It's Marmoush, Mbappe, Foden, Vinicius Jr., Donnarumma still in goal. There, though, are the heroes of this save. Answer leading the line. Aya at the back. Heroes for Accrington Stanley. That's the table. This is it. And so, after 6 extraordinary seasons, it comes down to this. From the bottom of the English pyramid to the very summit. From windswept sleety nights in Salford to the glittering skyline of Manchester. Immortality awaits. 6 years ago, they were the worst team in England. Today, they could become the best. Today, it's all on the line. Every goal, every tackle, every heartbeat echoes through history. In the away end, thousands dare to dream. In the dugout, Clayts dares to believe. It's Manchester City versus Accrington Stanley. 6 words that would have once drawn a smirk, now whispered with reverence. The champions of the past against the story of a lifetime. One last whistle, one last fight, one last chance for immortality. From the worst team in England to the team that might just conquer them all. Okay, then here we go. We are underway. And once this highlight finishes, I'm going to go to the league table and the latest scores to show you the full picture for this final day here, because it is all... It's very intricate and it's all to play for. Arsenal play Palace and that game might be really important, but Villa play United and that game will be important here. If United win and we don't, they're champions. If we win our game against City, we are champions. That is confirmed. But if City win and everybody else doesn't, I think there is still a world where they can become champions. I'm terrified of this City team. But inside the first 5 minutes, we're the only team who's had a shot yet. No highlights as of yet. And a goal, a massive goal potentially for Crystal Palace against Arsenal. It's Guardiola for City though down the left-hand side. Can he get a cross in? He does. It's a good block. Hartman was there. Corner to City. We get away with this one. I'm so scared that we're just going to fall at the final hurdle here. Can we go and get ourselves a lead? I'd love a 3-0 lead. Is that too much to ask for? Football Manager. Lamans goes long with the kick towards the big man Answer, who doesn't even challenge for it, and it's going to be picked up by City here. Can we nick the ball up the pitch and start our own attack? No, because Vinicius Jr. is going to breeze past Van der Bremt and into the box and hit it over. Those chances are okay. Is there a world where draws would be enough for us if... I think it would be, you know. If Arsenal lose and we draw our game, and if as long as United don't win, a 0-0 draw or a draw here would actually be enough for us. This is terrifying defending, lads. What are you doing? Okay, don't let Phil Foden win a header. Vinicius Jr., this feels very goal, you know. Guardiola, you're going to shoot from range. It's going to be a tackle. Excruciatingly long highlight. Van der Bremt. Let it be a long highlight that goes in our favour. We are on the attack. Rollheiser. Can we go and break against City here? Into Rollheiser. Into Alvaro. Into Naipan. This is pretty good football. There's space for Hartman. Go on, lads. Get it forward. Hartman to the byline. Find somebody in the middle, Hartman. He's lost it. It's booted. What on earth is that defending from Rico Lewis? It's a corner. What am I watching right now? We are good from corners, though. We have the big men in there. Answer is up. Can he be on the end of it? It's instead Alvaro, the even bigger man, who is on top, who is on the end of it. It's 1-0. Skelly Alvaro with the header. And we have the lead. Oh, my word. This is it. It's happening. It's actually happening. The corner. We don't actually score as many corners as I really would hope we would. But he's 6'8", and he's headed us in to a lead. With Arsenal losing and United, I assume, still losing, we've now got a really nice lead. Arsenal are level 1-1. Oh, my word. I think I've just seen. I'm pretty sure Villa just took the lead against United as well. Even though Arsenal have gone level with Ødegaard scoring, I think Villa scored. And it just popped up right before it changed screen. And now City are on the attack as well. Don't let them equalise immediately. Maybe I should have gone defensive. That's always what you think, though, isn't it? It's over from Gonzalez. It's okay. There is now 15 minutes on the clock. And I need to be less... It is 1-0 to Villa. It is 1-0 Villa. I knew it. I saw that in there. It's Amadou Onana who scored the goal. That means the league table looks like this. We've got a 3-point lead on Arsenal in second. And in fact, if we were to concede, we'd still stay top, right? I need to be less stressed. It's so early in this game. 20 minutes on the clock. I'm even thinking about like going defensive, putting an extra defensive midfielder in there, or matching them up maybe 4-4-2. That would be a mistake though. Their players are better than our players. Don't just match them up. But I need to just not overthink it. It's a corner to City. Foden to take it. Swings it in. It's headed away by Hartman. Back to Foden though, who's beat his man. This is a real chance. Oh, my word. Kylian Mbappe. Chance blocked. Back in there again. It's cleared. Clear it. Get rid. Answer clears. Medina, go and break. I don't think there's anybody forward with him. I mean, it'd be quite a goal if he was to score from here. Good lad. He's won a foul. I just said good lad, like he's a dog. I'm definitely panicked. Half an hour on the clock. Still 1-1 Arsenal Palace. 1-0 to Aston Villa in that game there. Even holding them to a draw here would be enough, but it's right on a knife edge. Villa, though, are 3-0 up against Manchester United. Morgan Rogers has just added a third, and we missed it. I didn't even mention it. There was a second in before that as well. City have given it to Naipan. Answer. Oh, a second goal before halftime here, and we'd be in absolute dreamland, wouldn't we? Van der Bremt. Into Rollheiser. It's patient play. Rollheiser for Answer. Just finish it. He does finish it. Is he onside? I don't know. The referee's got his thing. They've disallowed it. The flag was up. Is he onside, though? They're going to check it, surely, right? Paul Tierney. Checking VAR. I'm pretty sure he's offside. It said the flag was up. Goal disallowed. That would have been such a nice goal to score right before halftime. Is he actually off? Let's have a look. Rollheiser picks it up. Yeah, he is just off. It's actually one of those transitioning ones. It was close. Depending on where you paused it, it could either look really offside or really close, couldn't it? That's going to be, I assume, the halftime whistle. We still lead at the top then. 5 shots for us, 9 for City. They've been probably the better team, but we have the lead. And we have had that disallowed goal as well, haven't we? I'm going to tell them, you're doing well. I think I'm going to make a change tactically. Just to try and shore it up a little bit more. Because I think, despite us leading, I think we might need it. In possession, I'm going to bring Alvaro in here and bring Medina back. Put Naipan there. And I'm going to do Andino coming off, and Medina's going to play wide like this. I'm going to have to change around where people are, obviously. Andino off for a defensive midfielder, which is going to be Katovic. And hopefully that just shores up the midfield even more. It's kind of, it should be decent against that 4-4-2, shouldn't it? When do I start telling them to just waste time? Because that's how I feel right now. Just waste the time. 3 minutes have gone by. That means there's 42 to go. 50 minutes on the clock. Still 1-1 in the Arsenal game. Still 3-0 to Villa in that game there. And what I don't want to see is highlights. 52 minutes. We've got the ball, though, which is good, but that's not good. It's given away. Vinicius Jr. Saved by Lamans. Now, I actually might... Is this wild? But I go... Not loads, but just standard time wasting. Just to start letting them run down the clock a little bit. Is that a crazy thing to do? I feel like teams do that early in games. The amount of teams I've seen come to Liverpool and waste time from the first few minutes. That's a standard tactic, right? Oh my word, this is a chance. Rollheiser with a free kick on the edge of the box. Can he put this in and put us into dreamland? No, it's gone over. There's 20 minutes to play here. A goal from Arsenal does change things a lot because it really puts the pressure on us. I'm going to do changes just because of legs, really, and just trying to get some fresh legs onto the pitch. I'm going to go for Fana, and hopefully playing this left wing, he can just do some, basically play like a striker, but on the left wing and run them a little bit. There's 15 or so minutes to play. Katovic, we're on the ball for this highlight. A second goal would all but confirm us as the winners of this title, but we gave it away, but we've got it back again. Naipan. Can we get like a goal from Ilias Ansah? It would be so apt if it could be him. Fofana in behind. He's got players in the middle though. Can he find him? He's gone for goal. Cross it, man. Ansah was there and Fofana went for goal. I'm really keeping an eye on this Arsenal game now because that's the one, I think. Because even right now, with that staying the way it is, even if we were to concede, and now with 10 minutes to play, I think I have to do this. I think I have to go a little bit less tempo. I think I have to just slow the game down though. Another way to slow the game down is subs, isn't it? So let's do more subs. Maybe we'll do Stern. We'll do Stern for Medina on this right-hand side. It gives us 2 more subs and another stoppage anyway, which I'm going to do it incrementally. There's 5 minutes to play here. As it stands, a goal for City should still mean we win this title, but it could change so quickly with a goal for Arsenal as well. We're into added time. 94th minute. We're wasting time. I'm going to do another sub just to waste time as well. We'll do Naipan for Raskin. I'm going to even drop it to defensive. No risks. There's 4 minutes to play and we could potentially be about to win the Premier League title. There's a highlight with 2 minutes to play. I'm hoping my maths is right. And if they score here, we'd stay top of the league because we're playing it around at the back, look. There's 1 minute and 40 seconds to play. Hartman's just breezed past Kangin Lee. Katovic, he's lost it. This is a City chance, isn't it? Elliot Anderson over for Mbappe. He might be offside. It's a save by Lamans anyway. He was offside and now take an age. Take forever to take this goal kick. Time is up. Arsenal have scored, but time is up. And I think that is the title one for us. Why am I not seeing them lift the trophy? What do you mean? What do you mean we don't get to see them lift the trophy? Still though, we've done it. We've won the Premier League, Accrington Stanley, 6 seasons it took us, and we're Premier League champions. Thank you so much for watching. Way ahead of schedule, but what an adventure that was. So much fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment if you got all the way to the end as well to let me know. And I'll see you in the next one. Oh, why wasn't there a trophy lift?